In the year 2432, humanity had not yet found peace among the stars. Earth, once a cradle of vibrant life and unbound potential, now teetered on the brink of ecological collapse. This dire state compelled humans to stretch their reach further into the cosmos, searching for new homes, resources, and perhaps a new start. The echoes of old Earth's mistakes, however, reverberated louder than the rockets that launched mankind into the unknown. At the forefront of these interstellar endeavors was the United Terran Federation, UTF, a conglomerate of Earth's most powerful nations who had pooled their dwindling resources to colonize distant planets. The UTF's flagship, the USS Ascendant, was preparing for its maiden voyage to Proxima Centauri b, a promising exoplanet located just over 4 light-years away. Captain Helena Miles, a seasoned astronaut with a sharp intellect and an unwavering resolve, was chosen to lead this mission. Helena was in her late 40s, with steel-gray hair cropped short, and eyes that seemed to have seen the breadth of the universe. Her crew, a diverse group of scientists, engineers, and soldiers, shared a mixture of excitement and trepidation as they gathered in the main assembly hall of the Ascendant. "We stand at the precipice of a new era," Helena began, her voice echoing through the hall. "This journey is not just about survival. It's about hope. Hope for a future where we don't just cling to life, but thrive." As Helena spoke, a murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. Yet not everyone shared this sentiment. In the shadows of the assembly, a figure lingered, his expression unreadable. Dr. Leo Marquez, a lead scientist on the mission and a man of considerable influence, harbored doubts. Later that evening, Helena found Leo in the observation lounge, staring out at the stars. "Leo, I can tell something's on your mind. Spit it out," she urged. Leo turned, his face etched with concern. "Helena, are we truly prepared for what might be out there? History isn't exactly on our side when it comes to new encounters." Helena sighed, knowing full well the history of human expansion. "We have protocols in place. Besides, what choice do we have?" As the Ascendant prepared for departure, transmissions from Earth grew increasingly grim. Reports of skirmishes over resources, political upheaval, and mass migrations painted a bleak picture of a home left behind. It was amidst this backdrop that the Ascendant launched, leaving a beleaguered Earth in its wake. The journey through space was uneventful initially, with the crew falling into a routine of checks and maintenance, research, and personal downtime. However, 3 months into their voyage, the ship's sensors detected an anomaly. A series of unexplained energy bursts from a nearby uncharted system. "Could be a natural phenomenon," suggested Annika Bose, the ship's chief engineer, as she analyzed the data. "But the patterns seem too regular." Helena decided to divert the course to investigate. "It's only a minor detour. We can't ignore this. It might be significant." As they approached the source of the signals, the Ascendant was struck by a wave of turbulence. The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring throughout the corridors. The crew scrambled, trying to stabilize the ship and assess the damage. "What happened?" Helena demanded, gripping the console. "We're caught in some kind of gravitational pull," Annika shouted over the noise. The Ascendant was being drawn towards a small, seemingly barren planet. As they drew closer, a startling discovery was made. Structures, clearly artificial, dotted the landscape. "We're not alone," Helena whispered, a mix of awe and fear gripping her heart. The realization that they were about to make first contact sent a ripple of excitement and anxiety through the crew. Helena knew that every decision from this point forward could either bridge the gap between civilizations or ignite a conflict that could spell disaster for all involved. As the Ascendant steadied its approach, Helena prepared her team for what might be humanity's most significant encounter. Little did they know, the inhabitants of this unknown world were already aware of their arrival, and the intentions of these mysterious beings were anything but clear. The atmosphere aboard the USS Ascendant was electric with anticipation as they orbited the mysterious planet. From above, the surface seemed barren and inhospitable, but the structures visible below suggested a story far different from initial appearances. These structures shimmered with an iridescent glow under the planet's weak sun, their designs neither wholly organic nor completely mechanical, suggesting an advanced civilization that blended technology with natural elements in ways humanity had never imagined. Captain Helena Miles convened an emergency meeting with her top advisors in the strategy room. The walls of the room were lined with screens displaying various angles and zooms on the alien architecture. Dr. Leo Marquez, alongside xenobiologist Dr. Susan Choi, and Security Chief Lieutenant Marco Alvarez, examined the imagery with a mix of professional detachment and barely concealed wonder. "We need to establish protocols for engagement," Helena stated, her gaze fixed on a particularly complex structure resembling a spiraling DNA helix. "Susan, any insights into what kind of beings might inhabit these structures?" Dr. Choi adjusted her glasses, her eyes reflecting the data scrolling past. "The architecture suggests a highly sophisticated society with a possible affinity for genetic engineering. The helix structure could be a cultural or scientific symbol, but without closer inspection, I'm merely speculating." Lieutenant Alvarez, a robust man with a strategic mind, chimed in. "Security-wise, we should prepare for any scenario. Their technology might be beyond our understanding and their intentions unclear. I recommend deploying drones for initial surveillance." Helena nodded. "Proceed with that, Marco. Meanwhile, Susan, prepare your team for a potential biological assessment. We need to understand their atmosphere and any biohazards before human contact." As preparations were underway, the Ascendant deployed several sleek drones, which descended toward the planet. The drones transmitted breathtaking visuals back to the ship. Vast landscapes of geometric patterns that stretched for miles, and towering structures that pierced the skyline with their ethereal beauty. The crew gathered around the monitors, watching as one drone approached what appeared to be an entrance to the largest structure. As it crossed the threshold, a sudden pulse of energy surged from the building, disabling the drone instantly. "Electromagnetic pulse!" Annika shouted, analyzing the feed. "It's some kind of defensive mechanism!" Helena's mind raced. This civilization was not only advanced, but prepared to defend itself against unknown threats. "This changes our approach. We need to send a message of peace somehow." Dr. Leo Marquez suggested, "Perhaps we could use their own signals against them, not as an attack, but to mimic and send a greeting. We've been recording the energy patterns. We might be able to replicate one." The team worked tirelessly to decode the alien signals, constructing a message that mimicked the patterns observed. Hours later, with the crew holding their collective breath, Helena authorized the transmission of their crafted peace signal. Minutes felt like hours until a new pattern of signals emanated from the planet. The structure that had pulsed earlier now glowed steadily, and a path leading up to it illuminated, inviting. "It's a welcome," Susan whispered, her voice tinged with disbelief and excitement. Helena felt the weight of the moment. "We go down. Marco, your team will secure our perimeter. Susan, you're with me. We need to understand who we are dealing with." The shuttle ride to the surface was tense, each crew member aware of the historic nature of their mission. They landed near the illuminated path, their suits designed to protect them from the unknown atmosphere. Stepping out onto the alien soil, Helena led her team towards the glowing structure. The air was tinged with a sweet metallic scent, and the ground felt spongy under their boots. As they approached the entrance, a figure emerged, a being of slender build with translucent skin that seemed to absorb and refract the planet's dim light. The alien spoke first, its voice musical and echoing. "Welcome, travelers from afar. We observed your world in distress and wondered if you would reach for ours." Helena, heart pounding with a cocktail of fear and awe, responded, "We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship." The alien smiled, a gesture that was surprisingly human. "Then let us share our worlds with each other." As they entered the alien structure, Helena knew they were stepping into a new chapter of human history, one filled with potential for both great discovery and profound connection. Inside the luminescent halls of the alien structure, Captain Helena Miles and her team followed their host, who introduced himself as Saren of the Reza. The walls around them pulsed with a soft light, almost as if the building itself were alive and breathing. The architecture was a fluid blend of crystal and biotech, creating an environment that felt both organic and constructed. Saren led them through a series of winding corridors adorned with holographic displays showing scenes of Reza history and culture. These images revealed a civilization that revered life, where technology was used to enhance and sustain the natural world around them, rather than exploit it. "Our society thrives through synthesis," Saren explained, his voice a melody of chimes. "Long ago we faced cataclysms not unlike your own current trials on Earth. We learned to adapt, merging our technology with our biology to create harmony." Dr. Susan Choi, fascinated by the integration of biology and technology, queried, "Could your techniques help Earth restore its ecological balance?" Saren paused, his gaze thoughtful. "Possibly, but such knowledge requires understanding and respect for the balance of life, a commitment your people must be willing to make." As they continued, they reached a vast chamber at the heart of the structure. Here, a great dome displayed the cosmos as seen from Reza, with stars and planets projected in breathtaking clarity. Saren gestured to a specific area on the dome. "This is your solar system, and here lies Earth. We've observed your struggles from afar, hoping that contact would eventually come." Lieutenant Marco Alvarez, always cautious, noted, "You've been watching us for some time then. What made you decide to respond now?" Saren looked toward the Earth projection. "Your arrival signaled readiness for change. We sensed a shift, a potential for growth and enlightenment. The pulse was our way to test your intentions." Helena realized the magnitude of their meeting. "You have the ability to monitor and evaluate civilizations?" "Yes," Saren affirmed. "Our technology allows us to sense the developmental stages of societies. We intervene only when a civilization shows potential for interstellar empathy and sustainability." Dr. Leo Marquez, intrigued, asked, "What happens to those who aren't ready?" "They are left to follow their path, to reach out when they are ready," Saren replied, a hint of sadness in his tone. "Not all succeed, but we must respect their journey." The chamber suddenly shifted, the starry display giving way to a live view of Earth, troubled and beautiful. Saren's hand waved over a panel, and the view zoomed in on areas of conflict and environmental devastation. "This is why we hesitate," Saren said. "But your journey here gives hope." Helena stepped forward, a resolve firming in her voice. "Help us, Saren. Share your knowledge so we can heal our world." Saren considered her plea, turning to confer silently with unseen advisors through a subtle bioluminescent interface. After a moment he nodded. "We will offer guidance, but the work will be yours to bear. The first step is understanding." He led them deeper into the structure to a library like no other, where knowledge was stored not in books, but in glowing strands of genetic material that could be accessed through touch. Helena reached out, her fingertips brushing against a strand, and knowledge of Rezan ecological techniques flooded her mind, a symbiotic blueprint for survival. "This is our gift to you," Saren declared. "Use it well, Captain Miles." As the team prepared to return to the Ascendant, equipped with new knowledge and a new sense of purpose, Helena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. There was hope for Earth yet, and the journey back home would be one of cautious optimism, armed with the potential to usher in a new era for humanity. As the USS Ascendant set course back towards Earth, Captain Helena Miles and her team dedicated themselves to mastering the Rezan knowledge they had acquired. The ship itself became a crucible of innovation, with every department mobilizing to translate the alien technologies into actionable plans for Earth's restoration. In the ship's central lab, Dr. Susan Choi led a group of biologists and engineers in decoding the genetic strands. They discovered that these strands contained templates for biologically integrated systems designed to detoxify and regenerate ecological zones. Susan, usually reserved, couldn't help but express her astonishment. "It's as if these strands are blueprints for healing entire landscapes, genetic keys to unlock Earth's recovery." Meanwhile, in the engineering bay, Annika Bose and her team were experimenting with a prototype device inspired by Rezan technology. This device, named the Bioharmonizer, was capable of altering environmental parameters to promote rapid ecological balance. Annika, her hands deep in the guts of the prototype, looked up and grinned at her team. Imagine deploying these across the Sahara or the Amazon, reversing decades of damage in months. As they neared Earth, the geopolitical landscape they had left behind had deteriorated further. The UTF, already strained from managing global crises, was on the verge of fracturing, with several member states threatening secession over resource allocation disputes. Helena knew that introducing Reza technology in such a tumultuous environment required careful strategy. "If we're not smart about this," she cautioned her crew, "our best intentions could spark a global power struggle." Their return to Earth was met with a mix of skepticism and awe. The Ascendant landed at UTF headquarters in Geneva, where Helena presented their findings to the Earth Council, a body formed of world leaders and top scientists. Displaying samples of the genetic material and a live demo of the bioharmonizer, she addressed the gathered officials. "We have been given a second chance by a civilization watching us from afar. This is our moment to steer our home back from the brink of collapse." Despite her powerful presentation, the council was divided. Some leaders were eager to implement the technologies, seeing them as a miracle cure for Earth's woes. Others feared the loss of control over their territories, suspicious of technologies not of human origin. The debates grew heated, with national interests clashing openly in the council chambers. Realizing that consensus might be impossible, Helena proposed an initiative. "Let us start small, with pilot projects in the most afflicted areas. Allow us to show you the potential of these technologies before we talk about broader application." Reluctantly, the council agreed to a trial in 3 critical zones: the dying coral reefs of the Great Barrier Reef, the deforested regions of the Amazon, and the polluted expanses of the Baltic Sea. The projects began under intense global scrutiny. News outlets and social media buzzed with updates and speculations, turning the Reza technology into a topic of daily conversation. The world watched as over weeks the bioharmonizers demonstrated their efficacy. Reefs began to show signs of life. Forests started to reclaim land and waters cleared. However, an unexpected development arose. As ecological recovery became more tangible, several non-UTF countries began to demand access to the technology, accusing the UTF of hoarding it for political leverage. Tensions escalated, leading to a standoff at a newly rejuvenated site on the coast of Brazil. Helena, who had been at the forefront of the recovery efforts, found herself now navigating a minefield of diplomacy and espionage. The threat of this promising start turning into a global conflict loomed large. It was during a late-night strategy session that an idea struck her, a bold plan that could either unify the world or plunge it into further chaos. With the fate of Earth hanging in balance, Helena prepared to address the United Nations, proposing an unprecedented global coalition to oversee the distribution and implementation of Reza technologies. "This isn't just about healing our planet," she planned to say. "It's about redefining what it means to be a steward of our home." As she stepped up to the podium, the eyes of the world upon her, Helena knew that the words she was about to speak could well decide the future of humanity. As Captain Helena Miles approached the podium at the United Nations, a palpable tension filled the massive hall. Every delegate, every ambassador, and numerous global leaders turned their attention towards her, awaiting a speech that could alter the trajectory of international relations and environmental policy. Helena cleared her throat, her gaze sweeping across the faces of hundreds of representatives from around the world. "Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at a crossroads," she began, her voice resonant and clear. "The technology we've brought back from Reza has the power to heal our planet, to mend the scars we've inflicted upon it. But such power also has the potential to divide us further, unless we choose another path, a path of unity." She paused, allowing her words to sink in, then continued. "Today, I propose the formation of the Unity Accord, a treaty not just of nations but of all peoples of Earth. This accord will ensure that Reza technology is shared equitably, managed by an international coalition, and used solely for ecological restoration." The hall buzzed with murmurs and whispers. Helena presented data and images from the pilot projects, showing rejuvenated ecosystems and revived biodiversity. "These results," she stated, "are preliminary yet promising. They offer a glimpse of what could be a global resurgence, a rebirth of our natural world. Helena then addressed the concerns head-on. I know many fear that this technology might be misused, that it might become another tool for geopolitical maneuvering. That is why the Unity Accord will include strict regulations and oversight mechanisms. Transparency will be its cornerstone. She unveiled a detailed framework for the Accord, developed in collaboration with environmental scientists, policy experts, and ethicists. The plan outlined protocols for deployment, maintenance, and monitoring of the technology, emphasizing sustainability and respect for local cultures and ecosystems. The proposal was ambitious and unprecedented. It called for a new global agency under the UN's auspices, funded by member states but independent in its operations. This agency would oversee the training of personnel from all countries, ensuring that the knowledge and skills for using Reza technology were disseminated widely. As the session opened for debate, opinions varied wildly. Some delegates expressed enthusiastic support, seeing the Accord as a beacon of hope. Others were cautious, concerned about sovereignty and the potential for the UN to overreach. A few were outright skeptical, questioning the long-term implications of using alien technology. The debates lasted for hours, stretching into days. Helena and her team worked tirelessly, negotiating, adjusting clauses, and reassuring nations of the benefits. Gradually, consensus began to emerge as the results from the pilot sites became too significant to ignore. The improvements in ecological health were accompanied by economic benefits, such as increased tourism, improved fisheries, and carbon credits. Finally, after intense diplomacy and widespread public support, the Unity Accord was put to a vote. The result was historic, an overwhelming majority in favor. The accord was signed by leaders from around the world in a ceremony that was broadcast globally, symbolizing a new era of international cooperation and environmental stewardship. With the Unity Accord ratified, Helena watched as the first international teams were trained and dispatched, carrying with them the hope and responsibility of healing their planet. The bioharmonizers were deployed globally, each operation closely monitored and reported to ensure compliance and effectiveness. As ecosystems around the world began to flourish once again, Helena reflected on the journey that had brought her from the stars back to Earth. She realized that this was not the end of their efforts, but the beginning of a lifelong commitment to safeguarding and nurturing their home. The story of humanity's encounter with the Reza had become a testament to the possibility of change when faced with existential threats. It was a story of redemption, of unity, and most importantly, of a renewed bond between humanity and the Earth. Months passed since the signing of the Unity Accord, and the world had begun to witness the tangible benefits of the Reza technology. The rebirth of Earth's ecosystems spurred not only ecological, but also cultural and economic renaissance across the globe. Cities that were once choked by smog celebrated clear skies. Rivers long dead flowed vibrant and teeming with life. Forests expanded, encroaching back onto lands they had not touched in centuries. Captain Helena Miles, now serving as an advisor to the new global agency overseeing the Reza technology's deployment, found herself in the heart of the Amazon rainforest. She was there to evaluate the success of one of the most ambitious rejuvenation projects. The site, which had been a barren wasteland, was now a thriving jungle, echoing with the sounds of birds and wildlife that had not been seen in the area for decades. Amidst the lush greenery, a new research and education center had been erected, designed entirely with Rezan architectural influences. Its walls were alive with bioluminescent plants that provided natural lighting, and its roofs collected rainwater, which was then purified and used for the facility. Helena walked through the center with Dr. Susan Choi, who had relocated here to continue her work. This center is becoming a hub for scientists and students from around the world eager to learn about ecological restoration, Susan explained, her eyes gleaming with pride. We're not just bringing back species from the brink of extinction, we're training the next generation of environmental stewards. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a group of indigenous leaders from various Amazonian tribes. They were early skeptics of the technology, fiercely protective of their ancestral lands. However, the transparency and inclusiveness of the project's execution had slowly turned skepticism into collaboration. One of the leaders, Chief Aru, who had been a vocal opponent initially, now worked closely with the restoration teams. "We have seen the land heal," he said in his native language, which Susan translated. "Our people's knowledge, combined with this new technology, is a powerful force. We are teaching and learning in equal measure." Helena nodded, understanding the delicate balance that needed to be maintained between advancing technology and respecting traditional ways of life. "It's partnerships like these that the Unity Accord envisioned," she remarked. Back in Geneva, at the headquarters of the global agency, a different challenge was unfolding. Lieutenant Marco Alvarez, now head of security for the agency, was tracking an increase in cyber attacks on their systems. These attacks were sophisticated, aimed at disrupting the operations and accessing the secrets of the Rezan technology. "We've traced the attacks to a number of rogue states and private entities," Marco reported during a secure video conference with Helena and other agency leaders. "It seems that not everyone is interested in using the technology for restoration." Helena furrowed her brow, concerned. "We need to strengthen our defenses, not just digitally, but also physically at all key sites. This technology is a beacon of hope, and we must protect it from being exploited." As these developments unfolded, news came from the Reza. Saren, who had continued to observe Earth's progress from afar, sent a new message. It was an invitation for leaders and scientists from Earth to visit Reza, to see firsthand how Rezan society functioned, and to deepen the interstellar relationship. Helena felt a surge of anticipation. The journey to Reza would not only strengthen bonds, but potentially open new avenues for learning and sharing. It was an opportunity to ensure that Earth's resurgence was sustainable and protected against threats, both internal and external. As preparations for the journey began, Helena looked out over the thriving Amazon canopy. The world was watching, and the next steps would be crucial. The story of Earth's renewal was still being written, and every action, every decision, mattered more than ever. As the preparations for the delegation's journey to Reza advanced, the world buzzed with speculation and wonder. This mission was not only a diplomatic venture, but also a pivotal opportunity for Earth to gain deeper insights into Rezan society and their advanced ways of living in harmony with their environment. The team selected for the journey was diverse, comprising scientists, cultural ambassadors, and ecological strategists, led by Captain Helena Miles. Their mission objectives were clear: to foster deeper cooperation between Earth and Reza, to acquire further knowledge that could assist in Earth's ongoing restoration, and to establish a framework for potential future alliances in the galaxy. The USS Ascendant was refitted for the journey, equipped with the latest advancements in interstellar travel and communication technologies, many inspired by initial learnings from Rezan tech. The atmosphere aboard was a mix of eager anticipation and solemn responsibility, as each member of the crew understood the significance of their mission. Upon entering Rezan space, they were greeted by Saren, who now appeared on their screens, his form shimmering with the same translucent quality they remembered. "Welcome, friends from Earth," he intoned, his voice resonant through the ship's speakers. "Your journey here marks a new chapter in our shared history." The Rezan Welcoming Committee escorted them to the planet's surface, where the delegation was struck by the breathtaking vistas. The Rezan homeworld was a tapestry of biotechnological wonders, with cities that rose organically from the landscape, their structures interwoven with lush greenery and flowing waterways. It was a planet where technology and nature existed in such symbiosis that it was often impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. Helena and her team were taken on a tour of a Rezan city. The buildings were composed of bioglass and living metal that adjusted translucency and shape according to weather and occupancy needs, a concept that fascinated the architects and engineers among the visitors. The streets were alive with Rezans and various forms of bioluminescent flora that acted as natural lighting, reducing energy use and blending the night into a soft glow that mirrored the stars above. Dr. Susan Choi was particularly impressed by the Rezan approach to agriculture. Farms were vertical, spiraling towers teeming with plant life that thrived without soil, hydroponic and aeroponic systems that were fully integrated into the buildings themselves. The efficiency of nutrient delivery and waste reduction is revolutionary, she noted, envisioning the application of such systems on Earth to combat hunger and reduce environmental degradation. Cultural exchanges took place as Earth artists and Rezan creatives performed together, blending music, dance, and art in a celebration that transcended language and species. These performances were not just entertainment, but a profound exchange of ideas and emotions, symbolizing the potential for universal understanding and peace. However, the visit wasn't without its tensions. In closed-door meetings, discussions about the transfer of technology and information were delicate, with Earth's delegates keen on securing further aid for their environmental efforts, while the Rezans were cautious, seeking assurances that their assistance would not lead to dependency or misuse. One evening, as the Earth delegation gathered to discuss their progress, an unexpected event unfolded. A group of Rezan protesters appeared outside their accommodation, holding signs that shimmered with holographic images of Earth's still ailing parts. They were peaceful but firm in their message. Earth must not become another Reza, dependent on technology at the expense of cultural identity. This protest sparked deep discussions among Helena's team. It was a poignant reminder that while technological assistance was vital, it was equally important to ensure that Earth maintained its own path to recovery and did not lose its identity in the process. As their visit drew to a close, agreements were drafted, including joint initiatives on environmental technology and commitments to cultural exchanges. Helena felt a mix of accomplishment and humility. The journey to Reza had opened new horizons and presented complex challenges, but it had also shown the promise of what could be achieved when worlds united for the common good. With a heart full of hope and a mind alert to the complexities of interstellar diplomacy, Helena prepared for the journey back to Earth, ready to lead her planet into a future where technology and tradition balanced in harmony. The USS Ascendant glided through the void of space, its return journey marked by a cargo far more precious than when it had departed, a pact of newly forged alliances and a blueprint for a sustainable future. The insights gained from Reza had ignited a fervor among Earth's leaders and citizens alike, a unified drive to not only heal their world, but to redefine their place in the universe. As the ship approached Earth, the mood among the crew was one of cautious optimism. Captain Helena Miles reviewed the agreements secured with the Rezans, each clause a testament to the delicate balance they aimed to maintain. The core of their mission's success lay in integrating Rezan environmental technologies while fostering Earth's cultural sovereignties, an equilibrium that would prove as challenging as it was vital. Helena convened a meeting with her team in the Ascendant's Observatory, a room with a panoramic view of the cosmos. "We have what we need to make a real difference," she stated, her voice steady despite the weight of her responsibility. "But the real work starts now. We must be diligent, transparent, and compassionate as we implement these technologies. Our planet's future depends on it." Dr. Susan Choi, who had spent much of the return trip examining the Rezan agricultural models, added, "The vertical farms and integrated biomes can revolutionize how we produce food and manage urban environments. But we need to ensure these systems are adapted to our diverse ecosystems without harming local traditions or economies." Lieutenant Marco Alvarez, who had been monitoring the security protocols for the new technologies, voiced a concern. "There's also the issue of potential technology theft. The advancements we're bringing back could be targeted by those who wish to exploit them. We need robust security measures both in cyberspace and on the ground." The Ascendant re-entered Earth's atmosphere amid global anticipation. News networks worldwide broadcasted their descent, a symbolic return of the pioneers who went in search of hope among the stars. As the shuttle touched down, they were met not just by political and scientific leaders, but by representatives of grassroots movements who viewed the Rezan technologies as a beacon for global equality and environmental justice. Helena addressed the world from the landing site, her speech broadcast live. "Today, we stand on the precipice of a new Earth. The journey was long, and the path forward will be fraught with challenges. But together, we can restore our planet and create a future where technology serves humanity and nature alike." As the team disbanded to begin their respective missions, Helena traveled to New York City, where the United Nations had scheduled a special session to discuss the global deployment of the technologies. Here, she presented the detailed plans for their integration, emphasizing cooperative management and universal benefit. However, amidst these hopeful developments, a darker narrative unfolded. A coalition of rogue nations, led by charismatic yet ruthless leaders, began to voice their dissent. They propagated a narrative that Earth was surrendering its heritage to alien influences, stirring up nationalistic fervor and protesting against the Unity Accord. This opposition found a figurehead in General Mikhail Orlov, a veteran of geopolitical chessboards, who argued, "We must not be naive. While we repair our world with these gifts from the stars, we must ask ourselves, at what cost? Are we healing our planet only to lose our souls?" Orlov's rhetoric gained traction, leading to demonstrations in several major cities. The global debate reached a fever pitch, forcing the UN to convene an emergency meeting to address these rising tensions. Helena found herself once again at the heart of a storm, this time one that questioned the very essence of their newfound hope. In a bid to quell the unrest, Helena proposed an unprecedented global referendum. "Let the people of Earth decide," she declared. "It is, after all, their world that we seek to heal. Let them voice their will on the scope and nature of the help we accept from Reza." As nations prepared for the vote, Helena understood that the outcome would shape the future, not only of Earth's environment, but also of its humanity. The decision lay in the hands of the very people she had vowed to serve and protect. As the world cast their ballots, Helena watched, knowing that whatever the outcome, the journey they had embarked upon was far from over. The eve of the global referendum found Earth suspended in a palpable tension that stretched from the bustling megacities to the most remote rural areas. Screens in public squares and living rooms alike flickered with debates, discussions, and documentaries about the implications of fully integrating Rezan technology into Earth's societal fabric. Captain Helena Miles spent the hours leading up to the vote in quiet reflection, aware that her next steps would need to be carefully measured regardless of the outcome. The Ascendant's crew, now dispersed to various roles on Earth, kept in close contact, sharing updates and public sentiments from their locations around the globe. As dawn broke on the day of the referendum, millions lined up at polling stations, their faces etched with the gravity of their task. News drones buzzed overhead, capturing the historic queues of people ready to decide their planet's fate. Helena visited several sites, speaking with voters, encouraging them, and reinforcing the significance of their voice. Meanwhile, in the digital realm, Lieutenant Marco Alvarez and his cybersecurity team monitored the referendum's integrity. They thwarted multiple attempts to disrupt the voting process, ensuring that the voice of Earth's populace would be heard without tampering. The referendum posed a simple yet profound question. Should Earth fully integrate Rezan technology to restore the planet's environment under the governance of the Unity Accord? The results would direct the global policy and potentially set a precedent for how humanity would handle extraterrestrial interactions in the future. As the polls closed, a global broadcast began, with analysts predicting a close vote. The world held its breath as the results started coming in, region by region. Initial tallies showed a strong lead for integration, particularly from island nations and coastal regions that had been hardest hit by environmental degradation. However, as more results came in, particularly from industrial powerhouses and regions with strong nationalist movements, the margin narrowed dramatically. Tensions rose as the final votes were counted, and it soon became clear that the decision would not be as straightforward as many had hoped. Finally, the results were announced. 53% in favor of fully integrating Rezan technology, with 47% opposed. The narrow victory underscored the deep divisions within global societies about the path forward. Helena addressed the world shortly after the announcement, acknowledging the close results. This referendum is not just a victory for those who supported integration, but a reminder of the diverse perspectives that enrich our global community. We will move forward with respect for all views, ensuring that our actions reflect the collective will and wisdom of our entire planet. In the days following the referendum, Helena worked tirelessly with leaders from both sides of the vote to form an inclusive advisory panel. This panel was tasked with overseeing the implementation of Rezan technologies in a way that honored both the majority's decision and the concerns of the minority. Workshops and town halls were organized worldwide to educate the populace about the technologies and address concerns about sovereignty and cultural preservation. These forums also served as recruitment grounds for a new generation of environmental technicians and scientists who would be trained in the Reza methods. As Earth began the careful process of integration, Helena received an encrypted communication from Saren. He congratulated her on her leadership and offered Reza's continued support. "Your planet has shown remarkable unity and determination in the face of existential threats," Saren wrote. "Reza looks forward to seeing how you use our shared knowledge to create a brighter future." Helena pondered Saren's message as she planned her next visit to Reza, this time to discuss further collaborations, including joint space exploration missions and cultural exchanges. Despite the challenges ahead, she was buoyed by Earth's decision to embrace change and cooperation. As she looked out over the rejuvenating landscapes of Earth, now slowly but steadily regaining their vitality, Helena knew that the real journey of healing was just beginning. The referendum had been a crucial step, but the path to a harmonious future would require continuous effort, compromise, and above all, hope. Months after the referendum, Earth was a planet transformed. The integration of Reza technology had begun to show palpable results, with formerly arid regions blooming and oceans gradually cleansing themselves of pollutants. Yet the true transformation was not merely ecological but also profoundly social and political. Under the Unity Accord, Helena Miles had spearheaded the formation of the Global Restoration Council, an entity dedicated to overseeing the equitable distribution and ethical implementation of Reza technologies. With representatives from every continent, the Council was a mosaic of Earth's diversity, tasked with the immense responsibility of stewarding the planet towards a sustainable future. In a grand auditorium in New York, where world leaders and scientists had gathered to celebrate the first anniversary of the referendum, Helena stood ready to deliver a keynote address. The walls were adorned with digital murals depicting Earth's recovery, lush forests in areas that were once desert, vibrant coral reefs where there was once bleached barrenness, and clear skies over cities long smothered by smog. "Ladies and gentlemen," Helena began, her voice resonant and clear, "today we celebrate not just the healing of our planet, but the rekindling of our collective human spirit. The challenges we faced were daunting, the decisions tough, but together we chose a path of renewal and hope." As she spoke, the screens behind her displayed live feeds from various projects around the globe. In the Sahara, solar-powered desalination plants now fueled expansive hydroponic farms. In the Arctic, Rezan-inspired thermal regulators prevented further ice loss, stabilizing sea levels. These projects were not just technological triumphs, but beacons of international cooperation. Helena continued, "The Global Restoration Council, in its inaugural year, has not only managed the technological transformation of our environment, but has also worked to ensure that these changes benefit all, strengthening communities, bolstering economies, and preserving cultural heritages." The address was broadcast worldwide, with billions watching as Helena introduced testimonials from individuals around the globe. A farmer in Vietnam spoke about new agricultural practices that doubled crop yields without harmful chemicals. A fisherman in Chile shared his story of returning fish populations that had revitalized his community. However, the path to this point had not been without its trials. The dissenting voices at the time of the referendum had not been silenced, but rather engaged. Helena highlighted initiatives such as the community dialogues, forums where concerns about technological overreach and cultural erosion were addressed. By listening to each other, by learning from each other, we turned dissent into dialogue and fear into understanding, she noted. As night fell, the event concluded with the unveiling of the Unity Monument, a massive structure located at the crossroads of the world in Cairo, symbolizing the intersection of technology, nature, and humanity. The monument, crafted from Rezan bioglass that absorbed sunlight by day and illuminated by night, bore inscriptions in all UN languages, declaring the principles of the Unity Accord. After the ceremonies, as Helena walked through the gardens surrounding the monument, she felt a quiet satisfaction. The world was not perfect, and the road ahead was still long, but they had set the foundations for a sustainable future. Humanity had stared down the abyss of its own making and chosen to ascend. The chapter was closing on an era of desperation and beginning anew with a narrative of hope and collaboration. As Helena looked up at the stars, she knew that this was not the end of challenges, but a testament to what could be achieved when humanity acted as stewards of their planet, rather than its exploiters. With Earth on the mend and new bridges built between worlds, Helena felt a renewed sense of purpose. The future was uncertain, full of unknowns, but it was bright, and for the first time in a long time, humanity was ready to meet it together.